Hello my friends, this is Alex. Welcome to Socialism Survival Podcast number 13. As this show appears online right between two religious holidays, Hanukkah and Christmas, I decided that it is time to remember how we celebrated biblical holidays during the times when socialism ruled and how Soviet socialist regime treated religious holidays and those who celebrated it. Let's do first our virtual housekeeping and community organizing before continuing on the subject. If you haven't been yet to my site, here is the address: socialismsurvival.com. If you have a website or blog, please link to this show. The message is urgent, especially because all of it is not really about me or my podcasts, but about saving this great country and its freedoms. Even though I share my personal stories or story of my family, my country that I was born and grew up, I do it to give you a deep sense of all tragedy socialism brings to the society that embraces it. I do not want the sad pages of Soviet history that I survived to be repeated in the lives of our children and grandchildren. Okay, let's talk now about religious holidays and how they survived within socialism environment. I'll try to keep this podcast short but informative. Therefore, I'll move straight on by saying that I won't support any illusions of peaceful coexistence of church and socialist state. Well, here in America, if it will embrace socialism, just because America is so special and is much different than Russia was before October Revolution in 1917. I watch closely what's going on in this country in relation to religious freedom since my first visit to the States in 1992 as a guest of a large ministerial association. Later, same year, because of my positive activity, I was given an honorary citizenship in one of U.S. cities. I'm not saying that to boast, but to show you that if I cared for you and your country 17 years ago, while living in the Ukraine, I care even more now as I live here, being married to a beautiful American citizen and raising two precious little U.S. citizens. So now I pay even closer attention to what is the attitude of American people and government towards religious freedom in this country, which includes the freedom to celebrate religious holidays of your choice. Comparing things then and now, I see clearly that threats and dangers coming either directly from communists and socialists or from organizations and people, especially politicians and lawyers, supporting by them. When politicians ignore the Constitution and lawyers misinterpret and distort its meaning, and when these two groups bond together, then the threat and dangers are materialized in dictatorship and persecution. And that's what they're up to. Their goal is to control where you live, how you live your life, how long you live, how many children and how much money you can have, what you eat, and even what holidays you can celebrate. Socialists and other leftists always knew that they cannot successfully control the masses if they completely remove religious holidays from people's lives. They knew that people need holidays, celebrations to stay happy, and that happy slaves are better slaves. Therefore, they replaced faith in God and eternal life with faith in communism and its bright utopian future. And they replaced religious holidays with their substitutes, while also adding other holidays dedicated to unholy history of socialism. Unlike American calendar, Soviet calendar didn't have any religious holidays in it. Here is their list of major Soviet holidays. February 23rd, Soviet Army and Navy Day. March 8th, International Women's Day. May 1st, International Workers' Solidarity Day. May 9th, Victory Day. November 7th, Great October Socialist Revolution Holiday. And finally, December 31st, January 1st, New Year. Let's look inside these Soviet holidays to see if we'll find there a trace of God and holiness, or simply to learn what kind of holidays socialists will have in their New World Order calendar. Military service was mandatory for every Soviet man who reached his 18th birthday. Therefore, every boy was seen as a potential motherland defender, except those disabled or seriously ill. Every school had military preparedness class where, besides disassembling and assembling AK-47 and putting on gas masks, we were indoctrinated into our future roles as defenders of socialist motherland. And February 23rd holiday served that purpose. Before end of World War II, it was Red Army Day. In spite of its military origins, many former Soviet citizens still celebrate this day simply as Men's Day. Among all former Soviet republics, I know for sure that Russia renamed it into Defender of Fatherland Day, while keeping the same date. Ukraine has such holiday on January 29th. Next, March 8th, International Women's Day, was seen as counterpart to Men's Day. It was and still is a custom to celebrate and give flowers to all women, mothers, wives, daughters, sisters. Comparing to American holidays, it was probably like Valentine's and Mother's Days combined. Just add daughters and sisters there. On the surface, this holiday looks nice and innocent. Men were happy to give and women to receive all gifts, respect, and appreciation. However, like with many other international holidays, its origins are deeply rooted in paganism, in rebellion against God-given woman's role as described in the Bible. With such disrespect of Judeo-Christian values, it was adopted by ungodly international socialist movement. According to history reference, the first International Women's Day was observed on 28th February 1909 in the United States, following a declaration by the Socialist Party of America. In 1910, the first International Women's Conference was held in Copenhagen by the Second International, or how, as we say, Second International, and an International Women's Day was established, which was submitted by the important German socialist Clara Zetkin, who, as I remember, was highly respected by Soviet Communist Party. But why they chose spring for Women's Day? I tend to think that there is connection to Easter, pagan goddess of spring and fertility. Now, guess where the name Easter comes from? Well, you guess. Evidently, because socialists hate Passover and resurrection of Christ, they also need to fill springtime with something that would divert people's attention away from God. While socialists propagate atheism, declaring that there is no God, they employ demons and pagan gods to attack biblical faith. Another springtime holiday was on May 1st, International Workers' Solidarity Day, known simply as May Day, although received its inspiration from the United States Haymarket Affair, eventually became propaganda platform for socialists from Second International and labor movement. In Soviet Union, workers were forced, or more precisely financially motivated, to carry huge signs praising Soviet regime at crowded May Day demonstrations. As anti-Soviet, anti-socialist kids, we had our own interpretation of that word as demons show. Demonstration was for us interpreted as demons show. Yeah, we played with words. Probably the most respected holiday was the Victory Day, celebrated on May 9th. Although it was extensively praised as almost exclusively Soviet victory in World War II, with other participants rarely mentioned, anyone in the world should agree that Soviet people paid the greatest price in that war. While rightfully bashing Soviet government for mistreating own soldiers, especially for sending many of them from German camps straight to Soviet camps, I'd like to say thank you to all who fought for our freedom from fascism. But unlike in Soviet celebration of victory, when only human achievement was praised, I'd like also to thank God for saving us from greater horror. The most sickening of all Soviet holidays was so-called Great October Socialist Revolution holiday, because Soviet people were brainwashed into celebrating their own destruction, godlessness, steep moral decline, lawlessness imposed by revolutionaries under Lenin's command. As the result of communist power grab, a Russian Tsar and his family were murdered, churches destroyed, priests killed, and religious holidays removed from calendar, while atheist propaganda worked day and night to remove it also from people's minds and souls. If propaganda had no effect, then Gulag was next. Understanding all such greatness of socialist revolution, I'd rather celebrate December 26th, the day after Christians celebrate the birth of Christ. I'll celebrate the death of Soviet Union, the cancellation of all revolution's achievements on that day, the year 1991. And the last on my list of most important Soviet holidays is the New Year, celebrated the night of December 31st and January 1st. As almost everywhere in the world. Celebration of Russian-style Christmas on January 7th was left for officially recognized churches like Russian Orthodox, and even there Soviet militia would stay outside church property, and under pretense of guarding the order, they would limit who could enter and how many. For example, they didn't allow young people to get in the church unless a young person was helping elderly. Officially, most of Western Christmas characters and items were transformed and adopted in New Year celebration. The goal, of course, was to kill Christianity and its influence in people's lives. In the course of transformation, Santa lost his holy image and became Ded Moroz, which translates as Grandfather Frost. In the school, few days before New Year, we had official celebration around, no, not Christmas tree, but so-called New Year tree, usually fir tree. Grandpa Frost would walk in with his long magical staff in one hand and large bag full of gifts in another, accompanied by Snegurочка or Snow Maiden, his granddaughter. True celebrations of religious holidays in USSR were kept in secret because leaders of underground churches and synagogues taught people actual meaning of these holidays, which also was considered anti-Soviet agitation and propaganda. Soviet people, be it Christians or Jews, often paid with years spent in Gulag camps or even with their lives simply for celebration of biblical holidays. Unfortunately, with all freedom American people still have, I see and hear more about selling Santa than free gift of Christ, more bunnies and eggs honoring pagan fertility goddess than death and resurrection presented in the Bible. That's what socialism is interested in, not God. All Soviet holidays I just described excluded God. Socialists, communists understand that they are losing when people throw away all the dross from their religious holidays and call on God's name. That's what America needs now, in this holiday season. As it is written in Jeremiah 33, verse 3. Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Here is my Russian New Year joke. It is well known that Russians drink a lot on New Year Eve. One man asks his friend, "How did you meet New Year?" "Like a gift." "What do you mean?" "Well, all I remember is waking up under New Year tree." Thank you for listening to this podcast. Have a happy holidays. Christmas, New Year. All blessing to you. Keep listening, keep tuning in, and again, visit my website, socialismsurvival.com. May God bless us, and may God bless America, our home, sweet home, full of joyous and happy holidays.